James Comey, the case against James Comey that the United States government was pursuing, in addition to the case against Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, essentially laughed out of. Now, this is not exactly a surprise given the legal acumen of the current Department of Justice, but still it's seen as a huge humiliation. So here's what happened. A federal judge on Monday tossed out the criminal charges against James Comey and Letitia James, saying the appointment of the prosecutor was invalid. And those of you listening on the podcast, you may need to come over to YouTube to see this. When I say prosecutor, I am using air quotes, scare quotes, because this Lindsay Halligan character was a joke to begin with. She'd never had a single day's experience prosecuting anyone, not even prosecuting a ham sandwich. And she was given, in theory, one of the most consequential cases of our time. Now it turns out her own boss is considered so incompetent the way she rushed into this appointment, all to appease her boss, the current president of the United States. As you may recall, Trump ordered his attorney general to find something, anything on James Comey, kind of the way he tried to order the Secretary of State of Georgia to find him 11,000 votes back in 2020. Well, he didn't like Comey for criticizing him, for writing books saying naughty things about him. So he instructed his Department of Justice to find some way of prosecuting him. So prosecutors did as they were told. They looked. No actual prosecutor could find any case of wrongdoing. No actual prosecutor with even 1 minute of experience in the prosecuting game could find anything that they believed any jury in the world would find a crime. So they all stepped down, they resigned, they left. Finally, Pam Bondi said, let's just keep digging until we get to the bottom of the barrel. Finally, they found this Lindsay Halligan, she does have a law degree. We'll give her that. And apparently it's from an accredited law school. She did have experience as an attorney representing insurance claims. That was the sum total of her experience. And lest I be remiss, lest I be accused of trying to be politically correct, I'll just spell it out for you. She was hired because she's really good looking. Lindsay Halligan, if you haven't seen, looks like a former beauty queen because, drum roll please, big surprise here, she was a former beauty queen. She actually had more experience in the multiple times she was in the Miss Colorado beauty pageant. She had more experience doing that than ever prosecuting a single case. So she botched all sorts of paperwork trying to get these indictments ready and signed and sealed. Turns out she never even showed the actual indictment to the grand jury, just sort of said, hey, here, sign this, don't look at it, is essentially what happened. As horrible as that is, as unprecedented as that is, that's not why, believe it or not, the case was thrown out. It was thrown out because she should not have been appointed in the first place. So that's what's so bizarre about this and, beyond belief humiliating. Now, others have weighed in. Elisa Adamson served in the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of Columbia. She called out the Trump's Department of Justice for a series of procedural errors and said, quote, I thought the case was a choose your own adventure of procedural errors. And here we are, because this was a huge one. Halligan being appointed after the 120 days of the interim appointment had been exceeded was a huge problem. So she'd been appointed not through the normal process, but through an interim process. That had lapsed. And the court says, well, she wasn't lawfully appointed. She's not lawfully appointed. The indictment can't stand. So this is just a comedy of errors, and yet it's not particularly funny. Where do we go from? Adamson says, unless the Department of Justice follows proper process procedures, the cases have now been dismissed and probably delivered a humiliating defeat to the Trump administration. Those are not my words, but the words of a former prosecutor with a lot of experience. So what are we to take away from this? This administration is sending a message loud and clear. We don't care about the law. We don't care about procedure, process, what judges thinks. If we say, get them boys, we mean get them boys. And let the chips fall where they. If we're laughed out of court, okay. At least we messed up Comey. We messed up his accounting. We cost him a lot of money. We humiliated him. Hey, we still win. That seems to be the attitude. So James Comey, those of you who've watched this show know I'm no fan of his. I think he is, in fact, up there with J. Edgar Hoover, probably the worst head of the FBI ever, because of his singularly boneheaded decision to hold a press conference 11 days before the election in 2016, which certainly by my math and most people's accounting swayed the entire election in favor of Donald Trump. For that, I think he will go down in history as one of the worst public officials ever. But that doesn't mean he should be indicted just because he said unpopular things or things that Trump didn't want to hear. Two wrongs don't make a right. What do you think? Post your comments. I'm not live today, but I will be watching this video, the responses to this video. So I would love to hear from you.